Hello everyone, it is May 20th, 2011, and welcome to the Starcraft 2 report, where we will sift through all the information on the internet, whether it be tournaments, shows, or site news, so that you don't have to. So you can come here every week, get your weekly dose of news and what to check out around the Starcraft 2 community, so that you don't have to go look for it yourself. You can watch the show. It's going to be about 10 minutes long. You can check out all the information you need to know. And after a very hard week of work, school, or whatever it is you do, you can just sit down and enjoy some StarCraft 2 instead of having to figure out exactly what you should go watch. So that is going to be the point of this show. Since this is the first show, the show might run a little longer than the normal show because I'm going to be explaining the format and everything that is going on here for you guys so that you guys know exactly what is going on in the StarCraft 2 report. So first off, we have the area around me here that is going to be the interface. On my left, your right, we do have my lovely assistant, the list. The list is where I'm going to be posting all the tournament results in text format. So as I am spouting them out to you verbally, you don't have to just keep track of what I'm saying. You can actually look over here on the left and see all the results. News and show news and stuff like that posted right there. So it's easy for you guys to view. And then also additionally down here at bottom in the description on the YouTube post, you guys will have all the links to all the information posted in the show, links to the tournaments, links to the shows, links to the news posts that are mentioned in the show. So just all easy, just click on the links to go to whatever you heard throughout the broadcast if you want to go check it out or whatever you want to do. And then also we'll be giving a preview of upcoming week's events that we do know of and things you should be checking out in the upcoming week. One last part, as we are listing tournament results, they are going to be color-coded for you guys so you can more easily tell what I'm talking about as I talk about too. I'll try to make sure I mention it as well. With tournament results, we will be having games you should avoid, terrible games, like games that if you watch you'd be like, oh my god, why did I watch this game? Wasted my life. Those will be posted in red, so avoid the games in red. You can check them out if you still really want to, but they're going to be games we highly suggest you don't spend your time watching if you have limited time to watch the games, because there is so much content now on StarCraft 2, which is absolutely awesome, but it is hard to sort through, and it's hard to have time to watch it all. Games are just kind of okay. Watch them if you want to, because maybe it's your favorite player or something like that will be posted in black. So those are games where it's like, wasn't necessarily bad, wasn't necessarily the greatest game. You don't necessarily need to go watch it. You're not going to really miss anything. But if you really want to watch it, you can go watch it. There's nothing really terrible about it or anything like that, or terribly good about it. It's just kind of like, it was a game. It happened. Check it out if you want to. And then last but not least, the games in green will be the games we suggest you watch. They were the matches that were the most entertaining throughout the week in those tournaments. So if there's a specific tournament you want to check out, you can look at the games in green and get a good idea of what games are the ones that are definitely worth watching if you have a limited time. So with all that out of the way and a little bit of the show's format and everything here in the interface introduced, we're going to head straight into the show for today, and we're going to start out with the GSL with the tournaments. So on to tournaments. So in GSL news, GSL May just wrapped up this past Friday. Nestea took the series in what was a very underwhelming series over Inca. That's why you do see on the left here it is posted in red. It's really not worth watching. It was terrible games by Inca. Sadly, Inca just didn't play very well, and the games really weren't that good to watch. It was kind of a disappointing final. But Nestea did win that. So we're not going to talk about that anymore. We're going to move on to GSTL. GSTL Day 1, Round of 8. We had Slayers over Xenix in a pretty lopsided victory, and then Foyu over TSL. It was also a little bit of a lopsided victory. Day 2, Round of 8, we had MVP over Prime, and then OGS versus StarTale. The OGS versus StarTale game, one of our first games we suggest you watch. It's pretty interesting. OGS MC beat a beast as usual. I mean, what can I say? Day 3 in the semifinals, we had Slayers over Foyu. Game 7, especially of that set, was really interesting. I suggest you check that series out. And then MVP over OGS. That was definitely a good one to watch, so I would suggest you check that out as well. Moving on to Day 4 in the final for the GSTL for May. We had Slayers versus MVP. Slayers taking that set. Game 9 especially was a nail-biter, so you should definitely must watch the final of the GSTL. Some really good games in that. Probably the best games of the entire GSTL, no doubt, in that matchup. On other GSL tournament news, the GSL Super Tournament has been announced. It will be starting this week on May 23rd. The schedule is up on GOMTV.net. You can check it out yourself. Don't have it posted here on the left here, the games that are coming up this week, but you can check that out easily on gomtv.net and just go to the schedule for the GSL Super Tournament. So only going to be 2 foreigners in the GSL Super Tournament. That's going to be Huck and Jinro. The rest of the players are basically going to be a combination of Code A and Code S. So if you ever want to see a big Code A, Code S rumble, that's essentially what you're going to have. The first week, there's a lot of Code S versus Code A guys, or high-level Code S versus low-level Code S guys. So not any particular matchups that stand out as you're definitely going to want to watch it. But if some of your favorite players are playing, like Huck and Jinro, you might want to check those games out. They will be happening starting on the 23rd of May once again. For the VODs and the high quality, it is $9.99 USD as usual to buy their ticket. So if you really want to see the GSL Super Tournament, for $10, that's not a bad deal. You will get a lot of content. Moving on now to MLG. MLG and GSL have announced a partnership. They're going to be exchanging players and changing up their formats a little bit. MLG especially is going to be doing a lot of adjustments. There will now be 1 Korean player in each of their pools. The Korean players that will be showing up for the first one, I mean, you got Bomber, you've got Lucira, and you got Moon, who's, he's okay, but we'll see what he actually ends up doing. So we got 4 Koreans going to be joining in. They're just going to be added into the pool play. There still will be 4 players coming out of the open bracket, so that means that you are now going to have 6-man pools for pool play, along with the top 16 qualifiers in MLG points from the previous MLGs. So that'll be all set up now. As you can see on the left here, the pools are right there, so you guys can check them out real quickly. Largely thought that A will probably be the easiest pool, produce the least interesting games. C will probably be the hardest pool, will probably produce the most interesting games, so probably check those out when MLG is happening in June, coming up here out of Columbus. And then in other big news with this MLG and GSL exchange, we do have Tastosis will be casting at the MLG. So if you guys love Tastosis, you're going to be able to get your Tastosis fix in the foreign scene finally. So that's pretty cool. And then also, lastly, the MLG winner will be given the offer to go to Code S for the next Code S tournament. The next 3 runner-ups will be given the option to go to Code A. Quite a few foreigners have said that they probably wouldn't take it just because being there a month is a lot more difficult than going to a tournament for 3 days. They'd miss out on a lot of stuff. So some foreigners might not accept, but some might. If the Code S doesn't go to the winner, they said they would go down to the next runner-up. But it doesn't sound like Code A spots will go to the next runner-up. It sounds like they'll just be lotteried off to some other player for the Code A spots, should the foreign players not decide to take them. So moving out of MLG and GSL over to NASL news. On Friday we had results coming for you guys. Heypro over Nada, Oxlav over Heypro, Straylock over Moonglade. We had Nada over Quirice, DDE over Slush, and Squirtle over Naniwa. Kind of interesting that Squirtle actually did manage to pick off Naniwa, so maybe you guys might want to check that out, but not a necessarily suggested game either. None of the games were absolutely over the top amazing or anything like that. On Saturday we had Hasu Obs over Braddock, Goody over Machine, MC over Starlife, then Ace over Cats in one of our suggested games for the week, and Rhett over Select, another one of our games that you might want to check out. Was pretty decent games. On Sunday we had Sock over Druby, Tyler over Pain User, Zenyo over Cloud, Boxer over Mana. If you guys like Boxer, you guys might want to check that game out. And then Sen over Idra. Sen over Idra was kind of an important game because it did give Idra his first loss, so probably a lot of people will want to check that game out if they didn't see it already. On Wednesday, we had Tilo versus Kiwakaki. Kiwakaki taking that series. Then we had Grubby over Artosis in one of our practically must-watch matches of the week, because Artosis not only finally won a game in the NASL, he actually won an entire series. So Artosis, you now have 1 win. Congrats to Artosis. And then we had Mara over Vibe, Sheth over Moon, Rainbow over Phoenix. Moving on to Thursday, we had Ensnare over QXC. We had Moman over In Control. We had Zhao over Cruncher, July over Dark Force, and then White Raw over TT1. It was actually a good series to watch. White Raw did some really cool stuff, and he had a cool interview afterwards. If they don't have a VOD at the interview, I'm sorry, but definitely worth checking out. And then with that, Straylock remains as the only undefeated player now in the NASL so far as this week has progressed. Straylock is the only man with no losses. And speaking of Straylock, going to suggested matches for the NASL that are upcoming. We have Straylock versus DDE tonight in Game 1. And then we have Naniwa versus Nada in Game 5. Both of those I suggest you might want to check out. Then we have Ace versus Select. Both those guys only with 1 loss. Going to be on Game 1 on Saturday. Games to watch on Sunday, we have Zenyo versus Idra. Zenyo and Idra have met several times in the GSL and have always produced pretty cool ZVZs. So you might want to check that game out. That game is going to be Game 5. Then in another matchup of one-loss players, we're going to have Chef versus Phoenix on Wednesday in Game 5. So that might be worth you guys checking out. Moving on to the IPL, they currently have qualifiers going on for the next major IPL tournament. In IPL qualifier number 1, we had Dystar, Phoenix, Mana, Ret Tarson, Starlife, Destiny, and Vibe progressing on to the main tournament. There's also an interview with Destiny and Vibe up on the IPL website. Moving on to qualifiers number 2, Braddock, Mers, Cloud, Walush, Coca, Fury, Dark Force, and Straylock all advanced. Qualifiers number 3 will be happening this weekend. There will be some games getting casted from the qualifiers number 3 as well. You do have to check those out live, though. IGN is not putting up any VODs of the qualifiers. So if you do want to see the qualifiers games, if there is any matchups you do want to check out, you do have to view them live, sadly. I don't know if they'll be putting up VODs in the future or not, but you'll just have to wait and see. And finally, tournament news. We had the TSL3 final on Sunday in what was our must-watch matchup of the week. Every week we will have a must-watch match. It is a match you should undoubtedly check out. No ifs, ands, or buts. It is a game worth watching. You need to check it out. We had Thorazane versus Naniwa. Thorazane went down 1-3 in that matchup, came back to win 4-3 in what was clearly the best matchup that happened over this past week. If you missed Thorazane versus Naniwa, you absolutely have to check it out. You can see it at TeamLiquid.net's YouTube. They do have VODs up there already of all those matches. Absolutely good casting, absolutely amazing matches. You definitely have to check that out. Moving on now to show news. So first, we're going to start off with Day 9's Daily. Day 9 is on vacation this week, so sorry, Day 9 fans. No Day 9 for you this week. He has left a message saying that he's sorry. He's going to be gone. He's going to go visit his brother Tasteless in Korea. So he will be on vacation. He does return May 25th, though, and they will be showing some reruns and stuff like that, so you can get your Day 9 fix if you are absolutely jonesing for it. Moving on to State of the Game, number 39, that happened on Tuesday. There was some kind of important, I don't know about important, but some MLG announcements nonetheless. Talked a little bit about the pools, what the players thought about the pools. Also announced the booth, showed a picture of the booth for the MLG that they will be adding in the next MLG. Talked a little bit about TSL 3 and the finals there. Also talked about the GSL finals. Then they did about an hour-long segment of user questions this week. So there's tons and tons and tons of user questions this week on State of the Game. All this talking got to relube the throat, you know. They're on a kind of funny note for the State of the Game number 39. JP is having epic camera fail problems. So the video isn't that great, but definitely at least check out the audio. Moving on to One More Gaming TV, DJ Wheat's project. First off, we had, he has a new project that just started called Inside the Game, where he has paying user Idra and In Control on to give their opinions on some different topics, as well as answer a bunch of call-in questions. So it's kind of like a live call-in radio type of show feel. Kind of a cool concept. I definitely suggest everybody check it out. Inside the Game number 3 is posted now. There's also VODs for number 2 and the pilot number 1. In addition, on One More Gaming TV, he has the EG's Master Cup going on right now. It's got a kind of a cool team. It's kind of like a GSTL for foreign players with some cool format and stuff. In week 2, Dignitas won over EG in some results here. Sorry. Fnatic over Dignitas in what was actually a good series to watch. And then Mouse Sports absolutely crushing Six Jacks 3-0. Moving on to Week 3 matchups that will be upcoming this next week. Dignitas will be playing Millennium. Six Jacks will be playing Root. We have EG versus Fnatic, and then Mouse Sports versus MIM. So you might want to check out the EG Master Cups games. There are some definitely good games coming out of there. So DJ Wheat's casting. Idra's been joining him sometimes for the cast. So it's pretty interesting and insightful stuff going on there. In the last bit of show news, Mr. Bitter's 12 Weeks with the Pros. He's doing his next 12-week segment where he's doing some stuff with Protoss, Terran, and Zerg. So if you guys want some cool strategy input, like a coaching session type of thing, check out Mr. Bitter's next 12 weeks with the pros. Currently has White Raw on this week, so if you guys like hearing White Raw talk, because White Raw is entertaining as hell to talk, or hear talk, I should say, should definitely check that out. Moving on to news on the websites around the net. Blizzard and Kespa have finally reached an agreement, and their lawsuit has ended. Blizzard and Kespa have agreed to a 2-year contract that allowed OGN, NBC, and all them to cast Brood War for the next 2 years. So we have 2 years of Brood War bliss before it all could potentially blow up again. So you get to get your doses of Flash, Jaedong, and Bisu, whatever your flavor is of the top 3 players, on a regular basis for the next 2 years. So the Pro League and stuff will be able to continue on. And more news from Blizzard. BlizzCon tickets do go on sale tomorrow, 5/21 at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you do want to get your BlizzCon tickets, be ready to get those. There's a tip thread on TL, linked below, obviously, of how to best get your tickets, so you might want to check that out. Then there's also, in more TL news, an interview on TL with the Korean map makers that somebody posted up. It's kind of an interesting read. Gives some insight into what the Korean map makers are thinking as they make maps, what they call the map components and stuff like that. So it's a pretty interesting read. Moving on to news from wellplayed.org, they have a wellplayed.tv preview article up, so it kind of gives an idea of what they're going to be doing with Wellplayed TV and their goals for it. Doesn't really give you specifics of everything that's going to be on wellplayed.tv. It does give you a general overview of what they're going to be doing with the wellplayed.tv, so definitely worth checking out. And last but not least, in the final bit of random news, because every week we'll have just a random thing that if you get really bored, go check this out, because I thought it was kind of interesting. On blip.tv, I was just kind of trolling around after watching stuff like State of the Game and Inside the Game, and stumbled onto this video called My Future Girlfriend, kind of about this kind of dorky story about this dorky gamer guy who ends up with these 2 hot chicks fighting over him. It's pretty short, it's in parts, so if you get bored and want something kind of entertaining to watch, that's kind of like a, just some garage filmmakers doing it, it's kind of interesting to watch. So if you get bored and want to see something kind of interesting and a little bit funny, go check that out. That is My Future Girlfriend. You can search it on blip.tv. That is going to be it for this week, guys. I am out. I will see you guys next Friday evening. Obviously, the show will be shorter in format because I won't be explaining anything, so we'll be actually down around that 10-minute mark. So until then, I will see you guys later. This is going to be Ken Nursky Decker saying peace easy for now, guys. I'm out. Bye.